So the chronological Bible reading for April 28th is Psalms 81, 88, 92, and 93. Imagine hearing God's voice, and not just like a word, not even just a few words, but paragraphs, stanzas in a poem. I wonder if the psalmist who wrote Psalm 81 ever thought that what they were hearing was God's voice so clearly that it would be memorialized, canonized, and printed in every nation of the world for thousands of years. I heard an unfamiliar voice in verse 5, and the voice said, I relieved his shoulder from the burden. His hands were freed from carrying the basket. Doesn't that sound like Jesus saying, Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest? Continuing in verse 7, you called out in distress, and I rescued you. I answered you from the thundercloud. I tested you at the waters of Meribah. Listen, my people, and I will admonish you, Israel, if you would only listen to me. Can you hear God crying out, if only you would listen? I'm really good at listening to God in certain aspects, certain areas of my life that I've resigned to Him, that I've already given over. But there are some places like, how much coffee do I drink? And if I'm totally honest, I've heard the Lord say in the past, give up caffeine. And in my foolishness, in my flesh, I just don't want to. That will be uncomfortable. I enjoy my coffee in the morning and sometimes in the afternoon and sometimes from morning through afternoon, cup after cup after cup. And it's not good for me. It's not good for me. It interrupts my sleep. But if only I would resign. How much further could I go? How many more people could God use me to bless if I stopped drinking coffee? Doesn't that sound silly? But in God's sovereignty and His wisdom, He knows. If only I would listen. Now, this is God speaking to us, specifically to Israel, but by extension to us. There must not be a strange God among you. You must not bow down to a foreign God. I am Yahweh, your God. Not even caffeine, Yahweh. Isn't it silly how foolish we can be? How foolish I am. I am amazed at the futility of my thinking. And I find myself praying, God, why can't I be filled with the Spirit and flow in the Spirit all day long? I do really well most of the time in the mornings. And then my day gets busy. I'm selling houses. I'm doing real estate stuff. I'm parenting children. I'm walking the dog, and my mind just slips. And I find myself doing the things that I just would normally do, whatever seems right in that instant. And I just stop flowing in the Spirit at times. And it detracts from the potential of my day. And if you just detract an hour or two every day for a year, it's like 3, 5, 7, 800 hours in a year. What could you do with 300, 500, 700, 800 hours if you were flowing in the Spirit, if God was downloading things to you and you were carrying forth His vision for your life? How much further would you be? God says, I would satisfy you with honey from the rock. What kind of God serves honey, extracts honey from a rock? What does honey represent? What does a rock represent? What does the rock represent? Chapter 88 is a cry of desperation. Yahweh, God of my salvation, I cry out to you day and night. May my prayer reach your presence. Listen to my cry. Verse 12, but I call to you for help, Yahweh. In the morning, my prayer meets you. Yahweh, why do you reject me? And as I'm reading this, I can relate. It feels like I can relate to this psalmist, although my life's surely not as challenging as his was. And it occurred to me as I was reading and praying that suffering invites us to view things from an alternate perspective. If everything in my life is going perfectly, I might not ever ask God why. I might not ever grow in wisdom. But when things seem terrible, my temptation, my heart cry is to say, God, why? Why is it like this? Why is it so hard? God, help me. God, why aren't you answering me? Maybe it's because I'm praying for the wrong thing. James says, you have not because you ask not. When you do ask, you don't receive because you ask with the wrong motives. And Psalm 37 says, delight yourself in Yahweh, and he will give you the desires of your heart. The righteous thrive like a palm tree and grow like a cedar tree in Lebanon. Psalm 92. Have you ever seen a palm tree or a series of palm trees bent over in the hurricane, watching the Weather Channel as a storm is coming in off of the ocean? And the trees are bent over, like literally sideways, and the waves are pounding and the wind is whipping and the rain is pouring. The righteous are like those palm trees. We get bent over. We might lose some fronds when the wind is really whipping, but the storm only lasts for a short amount of time, a few hours, maybe a few days, and then the palms are standing straight up, ready to go another year. That's us, my friends. As we press into him, as we hold on to him, and may you do just that. And may he bless you as you do. Continue seeking him, my friends. Ask him why, but listen to his answer. Thank you for being on this journey with me. We'll see you tomorrow.